Okay, I just wanted to pop on here real quick to show you guys a little illustration that I found through Scholastic. And this is meant to be a little thing for teenagers. So when you're talking to your kids, you can talk to them about healthy relationships. So I thought this would be really cool for our group, for us to have like a little video for anybody coming in new who might not understand some of these concepts. So what we have here is this is going to be our working surface here with the little napkin. And we have a couple of items here that we're going to be working with. We're going to start off present your stress. So if we have a relationship and things are stressful, you can see that nothing really happens to our working surface here, that everything kind of just springs back to normal. So let's say that we lose a job, we can withstand the pressure. See? Now, if stress were the only factor, then everything would be hunky dory. But what happens in relationships is that we have other factors that start to come into play. So we can use this water here, and we're just going to put a little bit of water over here in the corner. This water is going to represent criticism and some of the toxic dating patterns, so contempt, criticism, stonewalling, and and so you want to make sure that when you're dealing with life in a relationship, that you want to remember that the things that we say to each other has an impact. So if this were to kind of just dry here, what would happen is that the material would be a little bit thinner, so some of the air kind of flattens down and it thins out and it's not as strong. It's the reason why we don't just dry out our napkins when we're working in the kitchen. Once it gets wet, it kind of denatures a bit. So right now, while it's still a little bit wet, it feels a little bit thinner than the rest of it. So right here, it feels kind of rough, it feels firm, and then here, it feels super thin. So you can tell that something happened, even though it might not look like anything's changed to the outside world, you can really feel it still. So again, this is going to be permanent damage. Even though words tend to be something we think that we should spring back from, it really isn't the case. Those critical words that we say to one another, every time we do it, it causes damage. And so we have to learn how to repair this and thicken this back up again so that it's nice and firm and we can spring back. If we don't repair it, then it just keeps going and we ignore it. And so then we might have other areas that will water in other areas here out of new critical comments or ignoring our partner or shutting down and not being emotionally available. That when that goes on all the time and we don't take the time to, make those apologies and changing our behaviors, then this is going to be a continued pattern. And over time, your relationship is going to fall apart. Now, we have one other factor here, and that's the damage section here. So our little pencil here is going to represent abusive situations. So this is where we go beyond contempt and we're really purposely causing harm to one another. So then we have these little holes that can happen. And so we have these holes, and the holes are your permanent damage. So we have, the criticism and stuff. When we come back from that, we still have a little bit of surface here to work with. But when we come over here to the damaged, permanent hole, so this might be shoving a partner, this might be any forms of attacks, criticizing to the point that you demean their character. These cause your permanent holes. So when a relationship's filled with just like a ton of these like nasty holes, and then it gets into this little section here that's a little soft spot. Those soft spots, they just kind of tear apart real easily. And over here, we might have an injury, but it takes a little bit of effort to go into it. So when the relationship has all of this damage all together, let's see what happens now when we add one of our big stressors. So this might be losing a job, a really big one. Let's see what happens here when we put this on the surface. Now, right now, this particular relationship only has this one little water spot, but every time the stressor kind of weighs down on it, the hole kind of tends to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just not holding up. Now, if we go over here again, that's where it kind of sprung back more, but here it just kind of sinks in deeper and deeper, and the damage just kind of continues to grow over time. So then if we go back to remember, our water is like the kind of critical, like, you know, name calling things that we can repair. But if we don't repair, the whole thing is going to be really, really weak. We have to be careful of making damage in our relationship and not making it better. The whole key to all of this is that some damage is going to be permanent. Some damage is going to be things that you need to work around soft spots and learn how to hold each other together in a supportive way. So, so again, this is a really good illustration. I'm going to go ahead and post the instructions if you want the tools to use this with your family. And you're also welcome to share the video if you think there's anybody that could use some of this illustration on why certain things cause more damage in a relationship and why other things seem to be things we can kind of survive. So thanks for watching, and let me know if this was helpful or if you think that it was, you know, something that missed the mark a bit. All right, have a good day, guys.